My name is Me, and I work at Altitude Meetings, and it's Altitude Meetings and the Raoul Wallenberg-institutet that organizes the Human Rights Festival. And today we're going to listen to initiatives for Ukrainian refugees in Lund with EOS Cares. Warm welcome to you. And I also want to thank our sponsors for Human Rights Festival, which is Heja Lund, Sparbanksstiftelsen Finn, Institutet för mänskliga rättigheter, Institute for Human Rights, Sydsvenskan, Anna Lindh Academy. And if you listen to this, you have 50 minutes, and then we start another interesting session, which is called Girls and Women in Afghanistan, which is here at 1:45 with Svenska Afghanistan-kommitténs lokalavdelning in Skåne. A little Swedish, sorry about that, but very interesting. But that will be in Swedish though. And in case of emergency, exit here, and we will be gathered, everyone at Stortorget, just outside. And say if you need anything, just say hello to me. Hello at me. So welcome.
Thank you so much, Me. So yeah, just like Me was telling us today, our idea is to talk a little bit about different initiatives here in Lund that have been taken to try to support the Ukrainian refugees. And the idea is also to talk a little bit about the challenges that are being faced by Ukrainian refugees in Sweden, and to have a conversation or discussion around this as well. So my name is Eile. I'm a senior program officer at the Wallenberg-institutet, and I'm joined by Olesia and Axel. If you want to introduce yourselves as well.
Yeah. So
should be here.
I don't know. Hello. I'm Olesia. I am community manager for Interkultur Ukrainian Unity in Lund. I'm also came to Sweden last year in March, and now together with EOS Cares, we are having different events, activities for Ukrainians in Lund who are under the temporary protection, and we help them to integrate to the Swedish society, and we are try to care about them with another organization as much as we can.
Yeah, and my name is Axel Wallin. I work for EOS, the basketball club in Lund, responsible for our social initiative that we call EOS Cares. And under the umbrella of EOS Cares, we support refugee communities and other groups as well in Lund, but especially refugee communities through supporting organization of the initiatives for these target groups. So the Ukrainian Unity, which is one of these organizations, is a very important part of our work. And we, together with Lunds Kommun, were able to establish this through early last year through the meeting central that we had here just across the square. And from the meeting central, or through the meeting central, we found Olesia and her colleagues, and we're now developing an association where they can grow and continue to work for Ukrainians in Lund and the surroundings here. Thank you.
Great.
Thank you.
So our idea then is to present a little bit. I will try to give a little background on what we do at our Wallenberg-institutet and how the situation looks for Ukrainian refugees in Sweden. And then we'll share some of these initiatives that are ongoing here in Lund as well. So just to give you some information about our Wallenberg-institutet, we're an independent academic institution that is located here in Lund. We have our head office here in the center of Lund, just across the street from the Faculty of Law, where we've been now for almost 40 years, since 1984, when the institute was founded. But we also have other offices in Armenia, Kenya, Indonesia, Zimbabwe, and Cambodia. So we have many activities going around in the world, and we work then with promoting human rights in different ways through human rights research, education, but also different forms of capacity development. We work with different actors in the area of human rights. And we also participate and support these kind of forums like this one. And then we engage with different actors, universities, actors from the justice sector, like the police, penitentiary, judges, prosecutors, and so on. Many different, civil society as well, as we have here today. But then if we're talking about the situation of the Ukrainian refugees, it could be worthwhile just remembering a little bit about the scope of this displacement crisis that has happened as a result of the Russian invasion. So we have nearly 6 million refugees now in Europe from Ukraine. And the countries that have received most refugees are Poland and Germany, with over 1 million countries in refugees in each country. And in Sweden, now we have about 60,000 refugees. The majority of them are women and children, somewhere around 80%, more or less. But also in Ukraine, there's a big population that have been displaced internally as well, more than 3.5 million of internally displaced persons. And then if we try to understand what sort of rights that are protecting these refugees, then we need to look at this temporary protection directive here in Europe that was adopted by the EU. It was adopted in 2001, but activated in 2022. And the idea behind this temporary protection directive was to give all Ukrainian refugees a minimum set of basic rights, and also to sort of harmonize the process of receiving refugees in the EU member states, so that this could happen in a quick and effective way, as there was a mass influx of refugees at that time, and also have a simplified procedure for all of the refugees to quickly do this. And then in the beginning, this was activated for 1 year, but now it has been extended, so it will last until 2025. And then these are the rights that then the Ukrainian refugees will have access to. So residency, should be able to take up employment, should have access to housing, social welfare, medical care, and also if you have children under the age of 18, they should be able to take part of the education system. So those are on the EU level, the rights that are applicable. But then, of course, in each member state, on the national level, there's been an implementation of this directive, and that has looked a bit different from country to country. And here, if we look at Sweden, then there have been some challenges for the Ukrainian refugees. One part has been that it was just recently that there has been publicly funded language courses in Sweden for the Ukrainian refugees. Just now this summer it started. To the Swedish government provided funding for this. There were some initiatives before from Swedish municipalities to give these courses anyway. But of course, if you don't know the Swedish language and you have no possibility to learn, it will be a big challenge to integrate and to access your rights. And also, if we look at the financial support, has also been limited. It's been 71 Swedish kronor per day. And we all know that you don't get very far with 71 Swedish kronor per day if you're going to cover all of your costs with that. And also, if we compare to other countries here, the Nordic countries, this has been the lowest level. And Sweden then only provides access to urgent primary health care. And here, what has been used is a concept that could be translated to only medical care that can't wait, vård som inte kan anstå in Swedish. So it should be something more than just the absolute most urgent thing, like if you break an arm, you need to go to the emergency. But this should also include injuries or diseases that if you don't get treatment, they will have serious consequences for your health. But it's very unclear exactly what is included in this, and nobody has provided a clear definition of what this care is that can't wait. And it's up to each individual doctor or medic to accept or not somebody who comes and has a medical problem. And this can also result in problems in having access to healthcare. And another issue has been that since this is a temporary protection, persons cannot get a personal identification number here if you're a Ukrainian refugee. So then you cannot have access to a bank ID. You don't have access to the social security system, Försäkringskassan, and it can also limit your access to healthcare. It can be difficult to get a job, open a bank account, and so on. So this also has been a limitation. And these limits or limitations in these rights have been explained by the fact that this should only be temporary. The idea is that the Ukrainians should return to Ukraine. But now we're seeing that time is passing and this conflict is dragging on. It's very uncertain if it will be ended even by 2025. So then this sort of begs the question, how long can we stay with a sort of temporary protection and start to think about the long-term integration and what is needed for the Ukrainian refugee community in that sense. And this was a survey that was commissioned by the Swedish government, carried out by the International Organization of Migration, where then around 4,746 Ukrainian refugees brought up some of the challenges that they are facing. And we can see that it sort of reflects some of the things that was already mentioned, but also discrimination, issues related to disability, access to schooling, and so on. And then to say something about what we are doing at the Wallenberg-institutet in relation to the Ukrainian refugees is that we now have two projects that have recently started where we're trying to work with different actors that provide legal assistance and try to cater for the legal needs of Ukrainian refugees in Sweden, but also in Poland and internally displaced persons in Ukraine. So we're trying to then work together with organizations in Poland and Ukraine to have a chance to exchange information and knowledge between these countries in order to see how we can improve the legal assistance and education and information that is being provided to refugees and IDPs. And the idea is that we're hoping that this will create more legal aid providers, that the legal aid that is provided is of better quality, and also that we can tailor it to the particular needs of the recipients, and that this in turn will then increase access to justice. And one area that we're particularly interested in or that we're looking at is then persons that have particular needs or in situations of vulnerability. Because often, or as in this case, when you've had sort of a collective assessment of the whole group of refugees, the individual needs of persons, for instance, with disabilities, or persons that have been victims of torture, trafficking, is maybe hard to capture if you don't have a system for that. So we're also trying to support that also these more vulnerable groups can get their voices heard. And here is a timeline of what we will be doing. So right now we're in this first part where we're trying to map out actors that are providing legal assistance to IDPs and refugees, both here then and in Poland and in Ukraine, trying to see what is going on, where are the capacity gaps, how can we improve that. And then after that, we will follow that up with workshops, study visits. We'll also try to produce a report with the findings from this. And our hope is also, of course, to try to disseminate this, communicate this, and have an opportunity to maybe influence policymakers and decision makers to also improve what can be improved, and so on. So that's quickly about what we're doing. If you want to have more information about the Wallenberg-institutet, and I'm leaving my email address there as well. And then I will pass the floor to Olesia and Axel to share a little bit more in detail about things that are going on right now in Lund.
Yeah. Thank you so much. So first of all, I want to say thank you to all organization and individuals who helps Ukrainian here in Lund, because it's really very important and we really feel that support. And but there are a lot of few things like few things that maybe from inside, maybe not all the people know about that, how Ukrainian refugee feeling here in Sweden, and actually what they have. And because there are a lot of people asking, how can I help you? So I will tell you that. Yes, it's really, thank you, David, about a statistic. And it's really now the most important things that Ukrainian refugees need here. It's like personal number, and it's a really big problem with daily financial support from migration agency. And 71 kronas, it's for adults who lives alone in the room, but if you are two adults, so it go to 61 kronas per day. And if we talk about children, so it's like from 30 kronas till 50 kronas if you are over like 11 years old. And it is absolutely not enough. And immigration office, they believe that this money should be enough for everything, for food, for medical support, for clothes, for hygienic things, absolutely for everything. And sometimes the problem is when even Ukrainians applying for additional money, they are refused because they don't have a lot of, for example, documents to show the need and so on, or maybe some other things. When maybe you choose not that apothec, you should go to another one, and now you are not allowed to be paid for their medical help. Another issue is with personal number. It's a big problem because we are lack of bank ID, and we cannot be registered in the big system, medical system. In any system, we cannot be registered. And it feels really, really very much complicated. For example, if you need to get medical support as quickly as you can, you need like to call to clinic, and sometimes you need like to stay in the phone call for hours, and sometimes they call you back, sometimes no, and you need like to wait. When you go to the clinic and you want to check to do some medical exams or something, you cannot even check the results, and doctors will not call you back. And if you have even like part-time job, or you need to care about your children, you don't have time to go to the clinic like every day, few times a day, to ask about your treatment, about everything. And it's really, really so much complicated. And without bank ID, we even cannot be registered for getting psychological help, because there is special app where you can be registered with personal number and with bank ID. If it goes like to the medical support, and if we talk about children, women, they cannot have VAT. They cannot even have insurance for children. So if you are pregnant and you cannot work, you cannot get this extra money. And it is complicated, very much complicated. Without personal number, we cannot register our own businesses. We can not open normally bank accounts because we cannot have Swish, and a lot of shops don't want to give discounts to Ukrainians because they would like to have personal numbers. So even if we are refugees, we all the time need to pay the full price. Yes, there are like some supermarkets where you can buy the cards, and you can ask cards for someone else. We cannot have internet access, for example, Convic, to have like lower price and to have permanent contract. You need to have personal number, and we don't have it. And a lot of Ukrainians who were settled to as an apartment for Migration Center, they are sitting at home without internet. And a lot of Ukrainians, their children, they are attending not only Swedish school, but Ukrainians as well, because they don't know what will be with them in few months when the temporary protection will be closed. And they want to be aware that they will stay like without school in Ukraine. So children are going to Ukrainian school, to Swedish school, and they cannot even study because they don't have internet at home, and they also looking for the internet everywhere, just not at home, and it is also a problem. It's so a lot of different questions connected to the bank ID. And also, I have the girl who works at a Swedish company at Alfa Laval, and she also wanted to share about her experience being Ukrainian under temporary protection and like working there. It's Victoria, maybe want to say something.
Maybe a few words to
Yeah.
add. I know that we don't have so much time. So I came in Sweden, due to the war, and tried to settle down myself, because I always was independent. I had, I've been contractor in Ukraine and had my enskild firma, let's say. But when I landed in Sweden, I decided right away to look for some opportunities here, because I know this tax residency that you need. If you are staying here, you need to be paying taxes. So I was very lucky to land a job in Alfa Laval, and I am, let's say, skilled worker, because I work in IT. And of course, I was expecting that I will be able to switch to a work visa, because I know that people who stay here, and all my colleagues from all countries, mostly it's like we have a lot, for example, from India, they are landing here, they are getting personal number. Of course, they have some waiting time for work visa, like 4 months usually. But when they are here, they have all the same rights as all Swedish people. But till this time, like more than 1.5 years working in Alfa Laval, still people are surprised that I don't have personal number, even if I comply with all possible requirements. Migration service as well do not allow us to change status. So we are like locked in this, let's say, limbo status. But overall, work condition, of course, I feel like good in Sweden, and I'm happy to be part of society, but we want to be, let's say, included fully in society and have at least the same rights as other foreign employees.
Mm-hmm. Thank you, Vic. It is such a problem with getting employment contracts as well, because when Ukrainians, it's like the one problem that you need to know Swedish, and a lot of Ukrainians, they really know Swedish now very good, and so I'm so much proud of them. But even if you have Swedish language, sometimes employers, they say, you're under the temporary protection, and we cannot be sure that you will not go home in few months, even if you are telling, but I will have a job contract, and so I'm planning to stay. They say, no, we want to have like more stable workers, not like Ukrainians. And it is a problem, and we want like to be also a part of society. And I think that there is no like the most stable thing as temporary. And yes, unfortunately, we still have the war, and we are praying every day the war finish, but still it is not. And still we have a lot of problem in Ukraine, people dying in Ukraine. And a lot of families, they cannot go back to Ukraine, even if they wish to go there. And so I would like them not to have stress, at least here in Sweden. And I think that it would be very nice if government and politicians will be able at least to provide bank ID and personal number to Ukrainians. And as I represent Ukrainian Unity, our organization, today we have a table by the corner, and if you want to support Ukrainians somehow, you can come there and get to know more. You can add to our social media, to Facebook. We have schedules there with our activities, with our lecture. And if you feel like you want to help or to support, you are always much welcome to write to us, to contact us, EOS Cares and Interkultur Ukrainian Unity, and we would be happy to share all the information, and we would be happy to be a friend with everyone. Thank you. And it's like really appreciate EOS Cares, who gave us such a possibility to make organization Ukrainian Unity, to be able to get together, to do something, to help people, to integrate to the society, to do activities, and to provide this help. So thank you so much. You're doing really a very huge job, not only for Ukrainians, but for other refugees as well. And I see how much valuable is it.
Thank you. I'm going to try not to take anything away from David's and Olesia's presentations, because that's the core message here today.